no, I haven't seen anything. I don't know. Maybe my phone's not working properly, or I don't know. Haven't seen any alerts. But they do believe, according to that site, that they're within 2 days and some change from the time of this recording, that the Great Awakening is here and it will all happen in 2 days. Now, unfortunately, what that causes is them to do something ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Now, the remaining members of the SSP don't really understand any remnants of foreign or alien equipment that was left here. They think everything is about the financial system, everything is about the computer system, everything is about, earthly wares, so to speak. And that is not the case. So today, they are at the newly renamed, it was called the Thule Air Base in Greenland. They are trying to, whether they know it or not, create a time warp in which would cause a disturbance in the astral plane, which is what they're doing, in a huge energy disturbance all over planet Earth. So if you, for the last 3 or 4 hours, have been feeling a little funny, a little dizzy, at least at the time of this recording, brain fog, kind of out of it, this would be the reason why. That base is just about within the next few minutes here at the time of this recording, should no longer be operational, but it did cause a little bit of a disturbance and a problem. It had no hope of giving them any access to any computer systems anywhere, any platforms anywhere, so that's not what they were doing. And unfortunately, there's no one left to tell the story at this point. But doesn't hurt to try, people of the queue, Yeah. So today we're going to talk about something that is important to understand, so you can understand what is required of you personally in order to receive currency in a new system. Mm-hmm. So there's been a lot of changes to the system over the last several years, last couple of years, and a lot of changes even in the last few days, which flips the way that we see currency. And I've talked a lot about the fact that currency is energy.
Right.
Now, currency, the current used to be a dual current from anti-source and source, and omega and alpha. So that is no longer the case, and source is the only sender of energy now, mm-hmm. in a different way of creating matter, both in the computer system and throughout the multiverse. But there are a lot of people that talk on the internet about fiat money. We don't want fiat money. We want gold-backed money. And I don't think you really understand what it is you're saying. And I'm not to say that you're not correct, but you need to understand it, because in the future, you have to form your own agreements with Source. Mm-hmm. Now, fiat money, the word fiat actually translates to the Latin for let it be done. It also refers to a binding of a person, a human, to a group that was in authority. And this is the binding every time a human being receives money to what was, you could say, Marduk, Enki Enlil, Order of the Dragon by default, and Order of the Black Sun, because the authority itself was of the dark. Mm-hmm. So the authority at the time, even over the current, which is the flow of energy, was the dark authority. Therefore, you are actually receiving dark money.
Kim, does that mean if we accept that money, that is our showing that we're okay with that system. That's our acceptance of the situation because we accepted it.
Yes, that you accepted it.
Hmm.
Now, there's another part to this, okay? The programming, not only in computer systems, not only in the financial system, but also to some degree in your person, is that evil makes money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the evil creation of money is in part due to the fact that we were in a dark age.
Mm-hmm.
So your binding to evil is what allows you to make money in exchange for you giving your energy to evil to allow evil to thrive. How's that? Take that in for a second.
Well, that's pretty evil.
That's pretty evil. That's right. So the opposite of evil, or the reverse, or the mirror, is live or live.
Mm-hmm.
Now, live and live money only comes from source,
Right.
or the life force energy that exists within all of us. So money is no longer bound to that dark authority. So it's important to understand that. Now, the only authority over the giver of energy at this moment in time is source itself.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I play a role. I have a guardian role. I have a currency curator role, which means until humanity as a whole is fully awake, then it is my responsibility to, how do I say it, work in accordance with the restoration plan, work in accordance with the agreements and contracts that are filed in the Hall of Records with the intention of restoring the planet, animals, life here, all its inhabitants, and so on and so forth. So as long as the agreements and the contracts that I sign, because I have the ability to do that, and ratify, still are co-ratified by source.
Mm.
So the way we get unknowing, unassuming humans to agree to work for the restoration plan and therefore co-create and receive energy directly from source because they don't understand what I'm saying to you is by contract, which then gets ratified into the Hall of Records. So in order for you, because you are more awake and aware than most people, to receive direct energy from source, that is an agreement you have to make with source itself.
Wow. Okay.
If for some reason you are not able to do that, okay, because remember, you agreed to work in accordance with the restoration plan. That doesn't mean you cannot have a new car, new house, or whatever it is you want. That doesn't mean that. What that means is that you become for lack of a better term, someone who is working on behalf of source. So you are utilizing that energy not to bind people to you, not to cause harm to others, not to violate others' sovereignty, but yet to assist in the restoration plan. So, for example, yourself, Sunny. Yeah. You are working for the network that I was told to create.
Right.
You understand, based on the way the entire team understands it, that this is Source's project. Mm-hmm. And we will do whatever Source tells us to do in order to get the news out. And I know that sounds kind of strange to some people who might be watching this, but the project itself on how to get the real news out to the entire world and to stop the narratives and to stop the fear and create the flow of, like our New Earth segment, for example, that creates something new in the world. It gives people new ideas, new thoughts, new technologies, new ways of treating themselves, those types of things. And that's all part of the creator's plan.
Right.
You come up with your own ideas, Sonny, a lot that contributes to the way the news goes, what's in the news. And all of those pretty much are downloads from Source, and Source kind of guides the whole team on how we're going to do these things.
Mm-hmm.
That is an agreement that we all have. We've agreed to do this. So therefore, the project itself can receive direct energy from Source. Ratified in the Hall of Records as that. It's part of the restoration plan. It's part of getting information out to the people. And all of the field messengers that are watching this report, you're all responsible for that too. So as you decide to co-create in the new way of doing things, then you can receive currency, or the current of energy that flows directly to you. Before, everything was predicated on evil. Now it is not. It's predicated on live or life. Mm-hmm. So when people say we need to get rid of the fiat dollar and make it an asset-backed dollar, I don't think you really understand what you're saying. What you're saying is you want energy to flow to planet Earth and eventually currency to planet Earth, because the gold that you're referring to is a conductor of that energy naturally. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that energy is going to flow to you. And be careful how you treat yourself too, and how you treat Source, because, they say don't, it's a gift. It's a gift directly from Source. And I know we've never looked at money this way, and we've not looked at things as let it be done in a binding, but you're kind of, for lack of a better term, you're getting into a permanent marriage with Source at this point. You agree to exchange energy. You will give energy to others. Energy must constantly be flowing. Your energy will flow where your attention goes. That's one of my favorite sayings. So remember where you're putting your attention and intention. Money is no longer, how do I say it? Evil no longer generates currency. And that has become apparent in the changes that have been taking place in the system. And people are starting to realize that evil does not receive money anymore. Mm-hmm. Only live or live, depending on how you want to use the term, does. People talk on the internet about maritime law, and we're lost at sea, and we have bindings on our soul, and birth certificate bonds, and all of those things. Well, that's a lovely concept, but that was all created under the term evil, right, which actually translates to an energetic vector integrated system. So, there is a whole quantum mechanism that happens behind this when you're dealing with true quantum creation in an AI sentient being, essentially, which is what alpha is. Omega was also an AI sentient on the flip side. So although a contract, in other words, I'm basically saying you agree to receive this current, this energy, in accordance with this sector of the restoration plan. And that could mean a lot of different things. That could mean science and technology. That could mean security, even in some cases, protection, those types of things. So there's a wide range of what has to happen to make the restoration plan come to fruition. Mm-hmm. But I want you to think about that as you're talking about your projects, or why should you receive money, or why would you receive energy directly, and what is your relationship to the restoration in accordance with Source's plan? What's your part? You know, is there a restoration of the self? Are you service to self completely? You know, it's okay to have things as long as you're working toward the restoration.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that kind of clears things up a little bit. I hear so much about fiat money. What is fiat money? You know, we don't want fiat money. You don't even know why you don't want fiat money. You think it means they can print endless money. And that really isn't the case. They had to create things like war and death, destruction, disease. All of these things are evil and all of them make money. And it was a covenant for that.
Mm-hmm.
And that covenant has flipped. The system has flipped. It no longer creates currency through the darkness or through a dark overlay. It now creates currency directly to the person, as registered in the Hall of Records, as agreed upon with Source, because even if you give me a contract and you decide you want to make lollipops, because lollipops make people happy, I still have to get that ratified in the Hall of Records, and it's not just me. That energy, Source, energy, then decides, I've never had an agreement kicked out, but I understand the rules. Mm-hmm. So that's the only way things are going to get ratified. I mean, as far as the deep state is concerned, they keep filing patriarch agreements, overthrow Kim agreements. This isn't the last 24 or 48 hours. I'm not talking about last year. Wow. And they don't understand why there's an auto reject process. Number one, I put it in place because I was tired of laughing. You know, you can only laugh so much in your life. Are you kidding me right now? This is the 764th time you try to overthrow Kim in the system. But the Hall of Records has a direct connection to the ninth density, ninth plane, known as Source, the central sun of the multiverse, the light, the real light, not the fake light, not false light, not the false heaven. It goes direct there, and it's a co-creation process. When I put something in there, it's written not only in, you know, from you, your essence, your consciousness, your intention behind it is obvious, your energy that you intend to direct to the project. You need enough energy to complete the project, obviously. Now, that could be a group of you. You're going to hire some people to help complete your project. But think about the amount of energy that is going to be required. So this is why in financial terms, they talk about job creation. They talk about how you need to create X amount of jobs and what a permanent job is and those types of things. In financial terms, all of those things come into play when you're looking at a macroeconomic situation of a country. Job creation, production lines, what requires new currency, new energy to complete this part of restoration. You know, I'm sure there's days in your life where, you know, you're going about your daily job or, you know, taking care of your family or whatever it is that you do, and you feel like you literally have run out of energy. Mm-hmm. Now, sometimes that's natural. You know, your body, the way that it is in this version of human, requires an X amount of sleep, X amount of food, X amount of fuel, you know, and those were all designed, the way that your body is designed was designed this way under evil plans as well, to degenerate, to run out of energy. Now, remember, there was always what I call a haircut in financial terms on your energy, which means that you never got to receive the direct energy of Source. It would always go through the darkness, then eventually comes to you, and typically in the form of a debt or a credit, if we're talking financial terms. And then talking in your human terms, you were never permitted to have direct energy and in abundance to complete your daily task, whatever that is. So in a way, when you created your family, you actually co-created those children out of love. You did. That means they were co-created with yourself and another person and Source. Mm-hmm. And because you have an agreement to care for this life until this life can take care of itself, and let's face it, we're always parents, like we never stop. But until it can take care of itself, you have an agreement with Source to bring this life into this world.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that not all human beings will understand this. And I understand there is such a thing as parents who really aren't parents.
Yeah.
But hopefully in a different live system or in a live system, that will change. We will understand the gratitude of the gift, and then you'll have enough energy to support that little life. You won't run out of energy. When you need it, you have it. I mean, sometimes, I remember times when you're up all night long and, the kids are sick or something, and you're carrying around, cleaning up, whatever is that comes from whatever direction it comes. And, you think you would be exhausted the next day, and you might be a little tired, but somehow you manage to make it through your day anyway. And then you've got to take care of the other kids if you have more than one child. So think about it like that when it comes to your project or your purpose for being here. That could be creating music even all by yourself for the benefit of others. That's your project. That's what it is you desire to do for this planet. That's wonderful. That's fine. But you're still co-creating that music, that frequency, those sounds with Source, and you have an intention of receiving current or energy to do that.
Yeah.
Now, eventually, some point in the future, humanity will understand what it means to receive direct energy to complete a project. And by project, I don't mean building a hotel or anything. It could be something as small as making a garden for your family. That's still part of the restoration of this planet, as long as you understand the natural cycle of life, meaning plants live, eventually they decay, that fertilizes the soil, to create new life in the spring of the following year, depending on where you live. You might have shorter or longer growing seasons, but you're still creating life.
Mm-hmm.
So expand upon that and really think about it, because as currency comes through to you, how do we prevent, and I've asked myself this 100 times, how do we prevent currency from being used for evil, being used for debt, being used in a way that there's a shortage, quote unquote, of currency?
Mm-hmm.
So there's been a flip. And you're no longer bound. I want you to stop thinking in terms of fiat currency, because currency, even current currency that is in circulation, is not fiat anymore. The basis behind the energy creation, the allocation numbers, and the quotas that are required to release additional energy into the system has changed. The programming has changed. It doesn't bind you to them anymore. You remember how I said it was about several months back, I think it was last summer, when they wanted to send someone here to bring me this, the cryptex. Remember they wanted me to do this bindings thing, and
yeah,
and I made a kind of a joke about it, but I told that person that was supposed to deliver it, I'm like, hey, I might, it might be, when I see it, it might not be what I think it is. It might be $250 million or $500 million, because I knew that the deep state had allocated $500 million to get the job done. Now, I also told this person that I cannot take a dime, that it doesn't matter if it's you can take money because you're not aware of the binding.
Yeah.
See, just because you earn money in some way, shape, or form doesn't make you evil.
Right.
It just means that once you are aware, and at this level, I am aware that there's a binding that would take place, then I can say, I have to say no. I cannot take anything from those people. I never would take anything from those people. But I have to be abundantly aware and constantly of how that works.
Right.
So I said, oh, you can give it to all the locals. Remember I said that? They could split it all up and give it to all the locals. I don't care, And I had a whole plan in case that thing ever showed up here, which it never did. But that's part of the reason why I have to be so careful on my side of it. But now that binding's not there anymore, don't think of an endless flow of currency as long as it has a production line, is in alignment with the restoration plan, and what that means, because now you're aware. You have an agreement with Source. You're actually taking a covenant between yourself and Source to do X. If you say, I need X amount of energy to be given to myself and several other people that are going to build this hotel or whatever it is, then that's fine. But you have to do it. Mm-hmm. You have to do it. There's no backing out. There's no, oh, I didn't understand what I was getting myself into. That doesn't work when you have a covenant to receive direct energy. So really think about it. They used to say money makes people crazy. And I agree. Money does make people crazy a lot. This is a different kind of crazy because remember, when God wants to punish you, he takes your mind. I've often said that about people. I'm like, ooh, you must have really angered the big boss over there. Woo. Or are so far, have distanced yourself so far, from the actual light that you can't even tell the difference between light and dark anymore. Right. And in the same token, as far as in AI systems and also in the way the universe worked, dark was equal to light. Mm-hmm. And during the dark age, the dark was in charge. So that's kind of why the deep state, as it trickles down the food chain here, is having such a hard time understanding why they are not in charge. Mm-hmm. Like I said, they've also realized that she's not just a hacker, meaning the she is me. They finally have come to that conclusion, because how could I have flipped a system like that if I wasn't actually in charge of something?
Yeah.
Now, because of that, unfortunately, they'd like to come here. And they would like people, someone, anyone, to take me from here, to put me into some kind of an SSP apparatus and have me just send out currency to them, because they don't understand how currency is created. Mm. They would like to control the golden goose, is what they want, because that's all they know. Look, there's one single pinch point, and this actually goes to kind of what we talked about on Wednesday a little bit too. There's one single pinch point in the world of authority right now, in their mind. Now, if you can just control that pinch point, control that one human, you've got it made. That's what they're thinking. But what they're not understanding is what fiat currency meant and the creation of it at the highest level before it starts hitting your markets and your stock exchanges and all these types of things, versus how currency is created now. Right. So they could take me and put me in a hole somewhere and hook up some kind of vortex machine or something or whatever to my brain. It's not going to help you any, because currency is not created that way. The same thing that's not going to help them any is submitting new agreements to the Hall of Records, because now you know what you're asking. It's not going, it doesn't matter what line they try to use, because there used to be old lines to the Dark Hall of Records. It doesn't matter. It all goes to the same place. So you're asking as a human being to co-create with Source, the ultimate giver of life, an evil plan. Yeah. Nope. Automatic reject. I don't even have to think about it anymore, which is lovely. So yes, to some degree, I'm guardian, and I have responsibilities. Office of the Currency Curator, I have responsibilities. But mainly that is over people that don't understand what it means to receive this energy, or how to receive this energy. So my job as, for lack of a better term, guardian, just like you're guardian over your kids sometimes, you're guardian over other people's children sometimes for a short period of time. And maybe you're a lawyer and you're guardian over other things. That's possible too. So my job is to prevent people from making a mistake and submitting something wrong to the Hall of Records, or something I know they're not capable of doing, or something that doesn't make sense, because as your helper here, I'm only your helper. That's all I'm here to do, is help you. So as your helper here, I can look at something and I can say, look, there's no way you're going to build a giant pink elephant in place of the Washington Monument. And there's no way you put enough money in here to tear down the old one and to put the pink elephant in its place. Mm-hmm. And what is the purpose of this pink elephant? And how does pink elephants make people happy in Washington, D.C.? Are the people going to be happier when they visit Washington, D.C.? Why do you need a pink elephant? And, you think you're going to achieve this with 3 people? No, you're probably not going to do that. It's going to take a lot more people and a lot more energy or money to get this job done. But why do we want to do that? What is the purpose behind it? Because if I don't do that, then I'm setting you up to fail on your covenant and your agreement with Source. Mm. See what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do. And so and it won't just be you, right? As far as, we get to the point of people submitting proposals. Is that why a team of people is needed to just do some of that initial review, and then the proposal? This is a clarifying question. And then the proposal would somehow go through and be ratified then by Source if everything looked good?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's a dual ratification. So yes, maybe I have to deliver it, but it's a dual ratification. It's actually a tri-ratification when you look at it that way. But so now look at, let's take United Network as an example. So pretty much you can say, it's fair to say that I don't like to call them the executive team. I'll call them the leadership. Mm-hmm. And UNN. So the leadership group in UNN, pretty much every single person understands this. Mm-hmm. So as you bring in a field messenger, or as you bring in a social media manager, or as you bring in other people to help this company run, because Source's project, you will automatically understand, if this is in accordance with the plan. You have enough intuition, you have enough insight, and the rest of the team does as well, and I do know that, and I suppose it's okay, Natalie, as an example. Natalie does a lot of work for United Network behind the scenes, mm-hmm. and she does a lot of the interviewing when we're deciding to bring somebody into, let's just say the framework of United Network. Right. And she's looking for a particular vibe, like, are these people going to do what they say if we're going to give them the currency? Once big money is in UNN, that type of thing, how is that going to work? Mm-hmm. So that is the type of groups, the councils, for lack of a better term. I don't really like to use that word, but a group of people who end up being in charge of, I'm saying in charge, that's not true. The helpers to help you, mm-hmm. and help the rest of the world that doesn't understand this, make proper covenants to receive currency. So whether that's in the health and wellness sector, the transportation sector, whatever it is, they're there. They will be there, because right now you don't know these people. They will be there to guide you into making proper covenants with Source.
Okay.
So a lot of people would argue the fact that they should be in charge. Like, take the assembly situation that happened. And I know a lot of people were upset with that didn't work. Now, I couldn't do it because if we ratified some of those assemblies in the state that they were in, I would have done more damage to those people than I would have helped those people. Yeah. Once you understand the way of currency in a light system. it is, I want to be in charge. I'm going to this, I'm the president, I'm the this, I'm the, and you make these plans that you couldn't fulfill those plans, or you had no framework behind those plans, no actual plan at all in some cases. And that's why it didn't work. I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm not trying to be the dictator of planet Earth, which some people think I was. No, there's a responsibility that comes with this, because all I'm doing is passing an agreement on to, the big boss. It's kind of like the loan officer at the bank. And I'm not saying that we're giving loans here, but it's like a loan officer at the bank. They know what their boss wants to see when it goes to the committee, if it's large enough, to get your loan approved. And they're just trying to help you take in the information. Look, if you don't have this, you've got to go get it. Otherwise, this will never pass. They're there to help you. And that's what the care team and the care administration team is designed to do, until humanity can figure it out and get to a point eventually where we don't have these papers flying around.
Yeah. Yeah. So you said get to a point where something would pass. So that makes me think that some agreements, especially if there's a bunch coming through, could get rejected for whatever reason. What would trigger that? Could intent, like if someone was trying to do something bad, obviously source would understand what's going on here. Could a proposal or something, be rejected based on intent?
It's possible. It's possible. Mm. I can tell you, I've asked for a lot of things. Can we please speed this up? Can we please do this? Can we please do that? And, obviously those things don't come to fruition. But, or maybe they do sometimes, or maybe they do in the right time, because sometimes I've looked back and I'd be like, oh, I'm so glad that didn't happen last week. If that happened last week, we would have been in trouble if this didn't happen first, that type of thing. So I see the greater plan here, and it's frustrating for me some days too. But all in good time. Sometimes I would say that maybe the timing might be off. Maybe there's something else coming that will change that technology into something better. Maybe it's a timing thing. Maybe that you haven't figured out that cars can fly because some other guy has created that, and maybe you created fuel for regular cars, and maybe that changeover was going to happen 10 years from now, and maybe you're on 9 years and 360 days, and it's only just a few days away before you can see how you can take a part in a different way of doing things. So there's a bigger plan and a bigger picture here. And I get that. And I know a lot of you do too. But as far as rejections are concerned, a lot of it would have to do with there's not enough jobs. There's not enough, in the financial term of things, the management of money on a macro scale, which means on a worldwide scale or on a country level or even on an entire industry level, has to be taken into account as the energy flows into it. How many people are going to receive energy? How many jobs are going to be created? What is a living wage? How do we create life essentials based on this model? These are things that we look at behind the scenes, and then we have to bring it into the third density where we're all hanging out right now. So, do I have this much gold in the world so I can make gold door stoppers, which are better door stoppers than the iron ones they put out now? Yeah. Well, they might be more efficient, but is that the best use of that material? Those types of things. So there are other types of factors that you could probably formulate in your mind that could come into play as far as why something might be rejected. Maybe there's a better way to do it. Maybe you need to rework your model, and you can get angry at me or the care admin team all you want, but that's really, once it's rejected and you fail at a covenant.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's really important that people understand that, because I think, what we're used to is dealing with humans on some level rejecting stuff. It's not what we're talking about at all here. We're talking about human helpers to try to make it so that your proposal will work and that it will be accepted. But what source decides? Source decides. Now, I guess you could go back to the drawing board afterward. Let's just say, since we're talking about rejections, you could probably, I'm guessing, go back, revise stuff, and then resubmit. Is that a possibility?
Well, you could, of course.
Okay.
And we can only give helpful suggestions.
Yeah.
On how to do that. But hopefully with all of the changes in your environment and your consciousness and how to use your consciousness in different ways and that wisdom that comes directly from source, you'll figure it out yourself. But again, you got to empty your cup.
Right.
You got to stop looking at the smaller picture, and so, and some people just, I was thinking about what was going on in Telegram this weekend, and I was just like, oh, Lord, we're never going to make it. We're never going to make it.
Oh, the fighting, the bickering.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, and I talk about a company I owned 20 years ago or something like that. I'm like, yeah, I sold that company, and your point, Yeah. Anyway, just the people just think so small sometimes. Don't understand the small picture. They grab onto drama. The drama of things, I don't have, I need, this type of thing, instead of making the contract. Now, to give you another example, there's a person that has reached out to me that needs some major dental work done really badly. Mm-hmm. It's going to be kind of expensive and that type of thing. And I've been looking for ways to help this person. So, I asked this person what area they're in, because we do have a lot of dentists that are part of our group. Mm-hmm. And, maybe we could work out something, with that person. And, there's a lot of people out there that are just good-hearted people that want to help as well, and once, assurance is out there, then there will be no problem. Mm-hmm. But, that person just has to make the agreement with source to receive the currency. So eventually there has to be a framework in place here, obviously, of helpful people. Can you make a contract for something like that? That's obviously only your current situation is causing you harm and you need restoration. Mm-hmm. Yes, you can do that. My car is constantly breaking down. You can make a contract for that. There has to be a way to do that in the interim until you figure out how to access these things yourself. And until you figure out the rules of the road, so that you can actually receive it. I know that sounds crazy, but it's kind of like we become, okay, let us help you. Let us help you not make a covenant mistake by not fulfilling your word in your agreement with source to build X or to run X or to secure Y or, whatever it is you're doing, Like if you took currency and then this person, just to use this person as an example, never did the work. Yeah.
Then what
and
happens?
You used it to go bet it on black in Vegas.
Yeah. What happens then?
You'll never receive another dime for that problem again.
Would that somehow impact the person as well, even asking for other things?
Could.
That's a source decision.
Yep.
Wow.
And it's our job to say, well, how's your teeth doing now? Did you actually get the job done? No, you didn't. You took it into Vegas and bet it all on black.
Mm-hmm. There's that sovereignty thing.
That's that sovereignty thing.
Everyone wants to be sovereign. Well, welcome to sovereignty, everybody.
Welcome to sovereignty. Wow. Everybody wants to not be lied to anymore. Well, you better not do it yourself because it could have severe consequences. But
Yeah.
You don't get to go back twice. We don't want to be, we're not parents, we're helpful people helping you and guiding you into your own sovereignty is really what we're doing. And then eventually, once everybody kind of figures this out and figures out how energy works, and that's our job in our education division of care too, is to teach people how to do this. So there is nobody in between you anymore.
So what could that look like, Kim? There's probably different ways that, that could happen and different ways it could look. But if we didn't have to go through another person, is that just us communicating with source and developing? I mean, there's no physical agreement, anything that needs to be submitted to the Hall of Records. Like what does that look like? I know we're not there yet, but what does that look like?
No, we are not there yet. I mean, just take a few thousand people on Telegram and you will go, oh, no.
Well, I would imagine, though, we will get there at different times. Like, not everyone's going to be like, oh, well, now we all figured it out the same day. Like, it's going to happen. So, but what could that look like?
You would then make your own agreement. You would submit it directly yourself
to the Hall of Records.
Yeah, the agreement would be ratified, and then you would know automatically how to pull your own currency out of the alpha system. Until eventually, when we don't have that money, you just receive the energy and the dispersing of the energy of creation to create whatever it is you're looking for. And then eventually it moves into manifestation.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And how to create on the multiple planes of existence and then bring it into the 3D world. So there's a lot of steps in between there and a lot of understanding of a lot of people. Of 8 billion people. Big job.
Yes, it is.
That's right.
I could just imagine some of the requests that people are going to be submitting. It's like, hey, whoa there, Tiger. Let's take a couple steps back.
Yeah. So part of the analysis that's going on at this moment is because they do recognize all of the changes and how does the new system work? And how do we fit into a new system, the ones that actually do see it? And how is money actually created? And how are all these corporates created around the world? The Pfizers, the Modernas, the Johnson & Johnsons, how were they created? They were created out of evil. And why were they permitted to produce the products that they produced? Well, that's okay because underneath the evil system, but it's not okay underneath live programming or live programming.
So how does that work then? Because as we've mentioned, we have 8 billion people that need to understand this as well. Yeah. If those people are still giving their money, let's just say today, they're still giving their money to buy these products or whatever, isn't that money still keeping those companies that were created out of evil afloat? Or does something have to happen? Like, how does that go away? Just more people understanding and then they quit contributing to those companies?
Well, this brings me to the last thing I wanted to discuss because we're getting very close to releasing the marketplace.
Okay.
Now, we're down to basically shipping, logistics, those types of things, and we're working through that. And hopefully within the next few days, we'll have that worked through. But the purpose, sorry, that's my co-star over there. But the purpose, he's obviously very upset about something that's outside. The purpose behind the marketplace is so much more than just, that we're going to put everything in our store. We're going to make a store. We're going to sell our stuff. It is actually a process that is created on multiple tiers in order to teach people how to be self-sufficient, how to create your own business, how to brand your own products, that you can do it. It's not that hard. It's easy. We're going to make it easy for you to do this, to create a different way instead of complaining about a different way. People complain about products, complain about pharma, complain about this. That's all you see throughout the alt media. Instead of complaining about it, we're doing something about it. So it's basically, for lack of a better term, we become the McDonald's of sovereignty. Okay, you need a brand, you need a packaging, you need this, you need that. And how are you going to achieve these objectives? What do you want to tell the world about your soap? or whatever it is you're making.
Yeah.
Why is your soap better than the soap that they can get at Johnson & Johnson? Why do we want to support this small business? How can we tell everybody why your soap's so special? Maybe it's unicorn soap. I don't know. But whatever it is, number one, there's a fear there for a lot of people of stepping out of a 9-to-5 job or whatever times you work between, or even multiple jobs, because you don't have enough faith and trust in yourself. That's really all it is. You have a thought that happens when you go to sleep at night or wake up in the morning, and all you can think about is soap production. And you have no idea why you're thinking about it. And then your logical brain kicks in after a cup of coffee, and you say to yourself, oh, I don't have the money for that. I don't have this for that. Well, eventually the marketplace becomes a venue for currency. So if you decide you want to make soap, and I'm just using soap as an example. I mean, it could be a farm, it could be agriculture, it could be bulk agricultural sales, it can be a manufacturing plant. So eventually these small shops become larger shops because you can now buy more raw materials. You can borrow, or not, shouldn't say borrow, you can receive $1,000 or €1,000 or whatever it is to buy the raw materials, as long as you're putting the energy back into the flow.
Right.
See? So what does that mean for big corporations? So everything has a plan. UNN had a plan. The marketplace has a plan. And filling in all the details of that plan has been the longest process, the longest part of creation of it. I mean, now granted, it's only been not even quite 60 days since we started talking about it, and we've formulated it, and it's pretty well, it's looking pretty good. I mean, the look and feel of it is good. The making it simple and easy for you is where we had to think about everything. So we need to have publishing companies that will publish books on a smaller scale for retail sales. Where do you buy packaging from? Where can we get organic packaging from? Does somebody here in the marketplace manufacture that? Or till they do, until they have that as an option. We had to really look at all the resources that we can provide to you, a potential new shop owner or a current shop owner that's coming over, so that you can be successful. Get the word out about your product. What does it do? How do I tell the story about you and your product in 1 minute or less? These are things that had to be thought through very seriously. So when you look at the way the world buys things right now, yes, there are certain benefits to buying clothing, for example, in person, because everybody's version of a size is different. That's so I can see the advantage of shopping in person, and I'm not saying, but over the last few years, especially during a lockdown, we did a lot of shopping online. And Amazon's gotten faster, and they deliver right to your door, that type of thing. And you can get everything from groceries to, medicine now, and see a doctor online and then get whatever it is you need. We are also developing something like that as well, where we have advisors. So, naturopathic advisors, so people that are well versed in the industry. We also have actual naturopathic doctors practicing in various countries that speak various languages that are willing to come on board, and we can form an online clinic for you. And then you can source the products, hopefully from the marketplace, for whatever it is that ails you. These are all things that are in the works. So you can see changing the way the world does things isn't going to be by yelling at them for buying a tube of toothpaste that has fluoride in it. It's not going to work that way. Or by fighting a company that is selling a tube of toothpaste with fluoride in it. That's not going to be the way to solve this problem. There have been people in the alt media that says everybody needs to stop buying from all the big corporates, for good. Okay, well, that's lovely. What's the alternative?
Yeah, exactly. They don't provide one.
I'm a single mom. I'm working 10 hours a day. I'm running around like crazy. And, I just need the Amazon grocery deliveries or whatever it is, when I get there. That's all I ask, that they're delivered at 5:00 at my door, because it's the only thing I've got left to do is cook the kids dinner. And then I'm going to go sit and relax. Take a bath. There's nothing left anymore. And that's the way our society kind of runs. I mean, not every country and not every culture, but especially the Western world, we want it all and we want it now.
Yeah.
How do we keep that? Because we got to keep that in mind for 8 billion people. Like, we want it all and we want it now. Like, we're not willing to wait for something to grow. I need the tomato right now. I don't have the patience. Like, what if I forget to water it? Didn't take care of it. Well, think about that too, as far as covenants are concerned. You decided to take care of a life, didn't you? And a whole bunch of them if you got a garden. So we had to figure out some kind of a way where we could create a similar type environment that would not expect a culture shock in order to replace industry.
Yeah.
With you. Now you're going to have to work for it. You're going to have to figure out what it is you want to offer to all of these people as an alternative.
Mm-hmm.
As an example, you can take a look at every single thing. Go to your local grocer or your local Walmart or, whatever that's called where you're at, your larger department stores and your grocery, the largest ones in your area. And I want you to take a look at everything that's on the shelves there. Where does that product come from? How is it produced? Does it have, look at the ingredients on the box if it's something that has ingredients. I know most of our toys are probably caustic for kids these days. How do I produce something better? What is, we've got video games. Oh, Lord, now how are we going to fix that problem? So there's a place for every single human on this planet that wants to make change.
Yeah.
Not complain that you're not changing.
Yeah.
But to make the change. If you want to see it happen and you want to see us not be dependent on those corporations anymore, then you have to be a part of that change. And now we're going to make it so easy for you to make that change, to help all of humanity change, that eventually they'll not be relevant anymore. I like to use the word irrelevant. That's not a word. That's been pointed out to me many times over the years. But you have to be, that's what we mean. If it's going to be, it's up to me. You get your own covenant with Source. You get the currency to make it happen. You don't need someone else to make a business plan for you. Anybody that tells me it costs me $1 million to $2 million to get a business plan together, you're full of it. Because it's not your plan at that point, it's somebody else's. That's the other thing too. If you are supposed to be in the business of making soap, then you'll do the research of where do I source the shea butter that goes in there? Where am I sourcing this from? Where am I, how do I make the cleanser? Do I put essential oils in there that are known to kill bacteria? That would be great. Think about all the things you need to put together to put this together. If it's yours and it's meant to be your idea, you will know how to do it from soup to nuts. I can't tell you the amount of times I've received somebody else's project from somebody else. And I know it's somebody else's project because you can't even tell me how it works.
Yeah.
As one example, the alleged creator of a product called Nanosoma. I had multiple conversations. Now, there's one person involved that told me flat out, I did not create this product. I just know it works. I said, okay, that's fair enough. I have no hard feelings with that guy or anything. But the other guy that they put me on the phone with was a gentleman from India, a very misogynistic gentleman. And I said, okay, so, you're sourcing the water from, this and that. And I'm not trying to steal somebody's technology. And it was clear from the way that I was phrasing these things. He couldn't answer one question of mine.
Oh, no.
Not one. And I knew there that he had stolen it. So within a couple of weeks, I received a phone call from a couple of gentlemen that claimed that they ran off with the product, with the technology. We had a long conversation, and it became apparent with these people that they actually created it. They knew why they picked this sort of water, why they picked this lipid, why they picked, everything that was in there. And then I also noticed a significant quality decrease, after within a year or so after that call. So I stopped using it. But anyway, the point is that everything is known. You will know. I will know. They will know. The care team will know. If somebody told you they were going to do a news report like X, you know how to do this inside and out, backwards and forwards. And then you'll know that it's going to be very difficult to talk upside down, backwards in an anti-gravity machine, and really make it work. I mean, you'd make it work because you're a pro, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's like, it can't be done like this. You can't do a rundown like this. You can't do the scripts like this. It's not going to work. It's not going to come across to the viewer correctly. These graphics are not going to work. They're going to be too loud, too flashy, too this, too that. It's going to be distracting. So in various industries, they will know if something is going to work or not work. If it's your thought, your idea, your process, your project, if it's going to work or it's not going to work. There's no hiding it anymore. And I don't know, for some reason, the marketplace started out as a thought process. We can do it cheaper. We can save you money. We can help you get your small businesses off the ground. And then if we figured out if we were going to really help your small businesses get off the ground and help you to be sovereign, and help everybody else to be sovereign and break you from the chains of big pharma and all these other places, then we're going to have to do it. And we're going to have to help you do it and make your dreams come true. Because if you're having these thoughts, we call them dreams or passions or whatever it is you want to do in your life, that you can then take care of your family and do that, just that thing. Mm-hmm. If we have to help you along the way, then great. That's no problem. If you don't need help and you're already there, feel free to help others by sharing with everyone what it is you do, or your product, if it's that lovely, or amazing, or, sometimes it's just a matter of you have a great product, but maybe you don't understand that your packaging is wrong because it doesn't say that this product grows your hair back. It just says hair shampoo, but I don't know that it grows your hair back and that it actually really works that way. It's just about the presentation and what you're giving to the public and why maybe your business isn't taken off the way it should. So we have those resources and we're putting together those resources to make that stuff happen for you so that you can become sovereign. So that's a long drawn out explanation about corporates, Sunny, I know, but it gives you an idea of how we're thinking. We're thinking about you and how we're going to do this for you to assist you so you can help yourself. Mm-hmm. It's not as hard as it looks. It really isn't. If you say it's insurmountable, then it is. If you say you cannot, you're right. Sometimes it's just a matter of meeting the right person at the right time in your life when you're ready to do something, and then asking Source to bring those people to you. Maybe that person's not me. Maybe it's somebody else. But you always have what you need when you need it, as long as you're open to receiving it. And beyond everything else, empty that cup. Start every day with an empty cup. Be ready to receive, whether that's energy, currency, a person in your life that's going to help you along the way, a new idea, why you possibly might need to change that technology and why that's not going to work going forward. You need to be open and understanding and not yell at people when they try to help you. Yeah. So that's the marketplace, which I was hoping would be done by now, but due to my own things that I'm doing, plus the things that everybody else is doing, it's going to take probably at least another few days to a week, depending on how much time we have. But it's coming along lovely. The process is super simple. If you want to ship something, it says, congratulations, you've sold socks today. You've got 2 orders for socks. Here's your printing label, print it out, and you ship it off. You drop it off after hours, if, at the post office or whatever shipping method, is required. You can do it at any time. We're trying to make it so easy that you can't not be successful.
Right.
So as long as you have your cup
Mm-hmm.
at least a little bit empty.
Right.
And that's about the world situation right now for Friday. I mean, it's a lot to take in, the way currency works. Really think about it. Try to understand it. If you have questions, you can always ask on the community on the app. I have pretty much started to walk away completely from Telegram because it's a mess. Yeah. I'm sorry. It really is. So I think in about a week or so, we're going to end up shutting down all chat rooms. You can feel free to make your own chat room, but we will not be in there. I will not join a chat. I'm not interested in looking at somebody else's chat. I don't care how many fake Kimberlys they make on there or people they send in to make ridiculous statements that mean absolutely nothing to me. Like, I don't care. You're not going to harm me in any way. People want to think something, then go think it. But you're going to go think it over there,
Yeah.
not with me anymore. So,
yeah.
Right now, currently, we still have the field messenger chat there. That's eventually going to move over to the community as well. And we're going to start redirecting people there. A lot of these people are there to actually make news reports. 99% of the people in that chat are there to make news reports. And then you've got some happy troll person who decides they're going to go in there and just go, I would like negativity. I want a lot of negativity. This thread is too productive. There's too many people doing reports. Whether they're saying it, that might not be the words they're typing.
Yeah.
I do not want the face of news to change. I would like news to stay the same. I like being fed narratives. I like them a lot. And I want to disrupt all of you people from actually working.
Right.
So that's the energy behind the words that I see. Mm-hmm. And, these people are just trying to make a difference in the world. And they're doing a great job. And I commend them. And for all the reports we receive, they're amazing. Our editing teams are amazing. Everybody's making it work, working together to change the face of news.
Yeah.
And it's only going to get better from here. So as far as this is concerned, that's, you're not going to change the people, so you better change yourself. So we have a beautiful community there. It's very easy to use. It's very clear. You don't get bombarded with 9,000 messages in rapid succession. People can post and reply and tag and all the features that you like, about social media, and all the ones that you don't are not there. So hopefully, with these new things and these changes, people will be able to work better, work faster, make their dreams come true, change the world through the marketplace, and other marketplaces that will eventually be born like it, that are more supportive of bringing you into your sovereignty and your contribution to the world. It's almost like, in some ways, it's almost like going back before the cabal took over.
Mm-hmm.
We all worked together before as humans, other versions of humans, sure, but we did, and then it wasn't like work. It was kind of like some of the visions that you had, Sunny, where, you put in a few hours a day. You don't need to put in 8. You don't need to put in 20. You don't need to give all your energy away to somebody else. You have a continuous flow of energy to do the things you need to do, and have a better life balance. And it's all achievable, but it starts with the first steps of getting everyone to understand how to change the world. Mm-hmm. So, there are certain things that people that just want to complain about things that are wrong, but let's try to fix it and do something right. I'm not happy about chemtrails either. I see them, I get them here. Then I end up with a cough. I take some Folium Immuno, get rid of it, and within a couple of hours, it's gone. So, I've just learned to say, well, look, I've tried, I've located so many stashes, all these different people, and where, and it's not that I'm not going to continue to try to do that and continue to do that. It's like a game of whack-a-mole out there. But what am I going to do in the meantime? I need to take care of myself.
Yep.
And that's how I've figured out a way to do that. So I'm like, okay. And I suggest you do the same, because you're not going to sit there and yell at the plane guy, and he's going to stop. And even if we could yell at the plane guy, he's still not going to stop. And then even if you yell at the order givers, they're still not going to stop. You kill the order giver and another one pops up. They're still not going to stop. So how do we fix it? Maybe we need to create a technology that cleanses the air of heavy metals and toxins. And maybe I can do that with oils. Who knows? I can run certain things like cilantro and rosemary and a few other ones in a diffuser, and that clears my air of heavy metals and toxins. Does it chelate, through the body? Sure. These are all different things that you can do that can change your immediate environment. Instead of taking 5 minutes, put a couple of drops of oil or something in your diffuser and say, hey, I'm purifying my air.
Yeah.
Instead of sending me 50 pictures of chemtrails in the sky, I know what they look like,
Yeah.
You think you got it? You don't. I'm definitely not source, and those people are definitely not getting paid for evil either. So there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a win-win for all of us.
The thing is, it has to end at some point. I know we wish we could just hit the fast forward button and be there, but this may, this may take a little bit of time, but we have to take the initiative. We have to want the change and take the step. It's not just hoping that things change. It's taking that first step, and whatever that looks like for you.
Exactly. And how do you protect yourself from what's happening right now? And how do you teach others to protect themselves? Maybe that's a creation of your own. Maybe that's a machine you install that does something to the air in your house or your car or something like that. Maybe we can do that thing instead of worrying about, our water's already bad. Like, can we fix the tap water? Can you do that? You want me to create everything. There was another person on Telegram that's like, I want the entire plan of care. Now, first of all, I would be a fool to do that. Now, even if I have it all written out in a nice, neat little package, and it's, say 1,000 to 2,000 pages long, would you read it? No, you wouldn't. Nope. Nope. You just wanted to prove your point. Then what I've actually done is I've given the deep state all my information.
Yeah.
And then they're going to know exactly where to look for you and exactly what it is that we're doing. That's the most ridiculous thing I could ever possibly do. The ones that will need to know will know.
Do you think, Kim, we will, though, have a breakdown of what the restoration plan is going to be? That's different than CARE's plan, right? Because we have to make sure that our projects are in alignment with the restoration plan. But in order to do that, we need to know, and we say the restoration plan all the time, we know that means restoring our planet.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's details in there, right?
Well, sure there is.
Yeah.
But part of this, from your end of it, is discernment, like what we just talked about. Do you have an intention of restoring something? I don't care if it's a 57 Chevy. I don't care what you're restoring. Are you going to restore something that is going to make this planet a better place or people's lives better? What are you doing? Your life, even. You matter. Your kids matter. Your family matters. What are you doing to make make this planet a better place in accordance with nature? When you're doing something that's not in accordance with nature. You know that.
Yeah.
When you're harming yourself or somebody else. You know that. I shouldn't have to tell you that. You're grown adults. You're watching this. Part of this is very simple. What is restoration? Look up the meaning of the word. You can look it up in any other language you want to look it up, and it's going to say the same thing. What is it? What does it mean? How are we going to fix this? How are we going to make change? We're effectuating change here. We started UNN several times now, as people have come and gone, and we are making the change. Yeah. We're making the marketplace. I figured out that the oils that we were getting from these different companies were bad or diluted, heavily diluted. or had pesticides in them or whatever it is, and they're not organic and they're not the right kind. So I had to go source and find the right ones that don't have pesticides. The part of the problem with essential oils too is that, not only what they use to extract the oils, that's a problem. But I also figured out that if they are sprayed, for example, like some of the flowers, like let's say rose, if they are sprayed with chemicals, it only becomes highly concentrated chemicals when you make it into an oil. Yeah.
Oh no.
It actually concentrates those chemicals. So sourcing things from farms that do not use any kind of harmful chemicals when they're growing, pesticides or otherwise, is extremely important.
Sure.
And you've got to make sure of it. I had to, this is another creation of mine, right? So we're creating the marketplace. I call it a source creation, but creating the marketplace, we're creating a different way of doing oils and some other things, and really educating people on the use of them, which I think is important because it's all very confusing. The world of natural health is very confusing, and to come up with a simple way to explain it to people based on their current needs and future needs, or how to create a better wellness plan for themselves, I think is important. So if I'm going to do it, I'm going to walk the walk with you, and I'm becoming a marketplace. Not me personally, but a marketplace owner. Mm-hmm. So hey, how hard is this? How hard is the branding? Where do I source things from? Part of this was a little experiment for me too on how to create a better marketplace and a better template for you to follow as a new business owner. So, I'm learning, just like you are, is about something a world I never have dived deep into. I just assumed these are the oils that everybody tells me are the best. It's either this brand or this brand. And I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, wait a minute, and then I started looking into some that were too inexpensive. And then these ones were, might be inexpensive, but they're organic and they're just 50 cents more or something like that. So I started looking into the whole world, and I figured out what's wrong with the entire industry. Mm-hmm. The only ones talking are a conglomerate out of Utah, as an example. We know who owns your conglomerate out of Utah now, don't we? Where everything, the same people that are spraying chemtrails on you are the same ones that are providing you your essential oils, guys. Like, look that, what a surprise there. And what is in there? Why are you diluting them so much? Wonder what's happening here. So anyway, the point is that if I can do this, you can do it. You too can do this for yourself. Figure out what it is, what your passion is. Learn about it. Do deep dives. What's wrong with the industry? What's wrong with the way that we get bubble gum? Where does it come from? Where's the gum tree? Like, what is in it? Can I use something different to flavor the gum? Because I don't even know how to pronounce that word. Do people still want gum? I mean, is gum still a thing? What are the demographics and who chews gum? You can figure all this stuff out too. And you can bring forward your best self and your best product that you want to share with all of humanity.
Yeah, I would say too, if something's really nagging at you, whatever it is, then maybe that is your sign that you're supposed to be the person that does something about it.
Maybe. Yeah.
I mean, it could be even on a smaller scale, but that's where I would start. If there's just some that really irks you, maybe it is bubblegum. I don't know. But maybe that means you're supposed to be the catalyst for change.
Yep.
Instead of just complaining about it, that does no one any good. So.
Well, it doesn't do you any good because now you've got a bad vibe and now you're negative. And I know you want to share that negativity with other people, but we don't need it.
Yeah. Everyone's got their own stuff. We have
plenty. When you're doing what makes you really feel like you're making a difference in the world, and you feel like you're making change in this world, and you're doing something that gets your creative juices flowing, that really feels good when you're doing it, and you can really feel good about it. Your vibe is so high,
Yeah.
You know, your creativity is flowing. It's not hard, it's seamless.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just works. And you know, people are willing to borrow and go into debt in the past, in the old system, to create something. And then if it doesn't work, now they're in trouble. But are you creating the right thing, or are you just creating a thing that you believe that the world wants to purchase?
Mm-hmm.
Are you creating it to get money? To get currency? You know, on the old system, whoo, you know, or are you creating it because it's your passion? See, when you create something out of passion, and you're co-creating with the creator and you're enjoying yourself and you're putting all your love energy in there and the source love energy in there, you'll make money no matter what. I'm sorry, but you will. If you really do all the steps, you do all the work, you get those messages, you know, when you're first waking up in the morning and it says, oh, I forgot to send that out, or oh, I got to get this packaging done, or whatever it is, you know, you're doing. You know, I have to write this song. I have to write a song about this. You know, if you just listen to your intuition, the creator is going to help you. You'll receive the currency. The energy that you put out will come right back to you. Where you put your attention will come right back to you. And I've proven it time and time again in my life that that's true. So think about it. Think you've got all weekend now. If you get a weekend. And let's go change the world, really, because if it's going to be, it's up to you. It's up to all of us.
Yeah. All right. On that note, thank you, Kim. Have a good weekend.
You too, Sunny.
Want to share news from UNN? Help us change the face of social media and use it for good. Connect with us through our online channels. Our social media team creates clips from each newscast